spells. You see what I'm saying? We're dealing with the memetic ritual engine. MEMETIC. Boom. So when we're talking about game theory, the reason why it's called game theory is because any interaction in this system is formalized as a game, right? So it comes complete with players, strategies, pitfalls, playoffs, buffs, debuffs, DLCs, drops, all type of shit. You see what I'm saying? The game can be as complex or as simple as you want, but the overall system that governs all games is more or less the same. Originally developed to understand economics, war, and politics, game theory now underpins everything from evolutionary biology to negotiation tactics. At its heart, it's about analyzing incentives, risks, and rewards in a system of competition and cooperation, right? So we can say competition, think capitalism. Cooperation, think communism, socialism. All different agents, all different players, all different stances and spectrums of this political, lifestyle, social organization game that we are playing together. When you apply this lens to social media, the connection becomes very, very clear. Every like, heart, and follow becomes a point in a game that you had no hand in designing. This is an externally imposed system where your actions are rewarded or punished according to someone else's rules. Gamification feels like play, but it's actually behavioral conditioning. It's actually social engineering at its finest. Platforms engineer feedback loops like slot machines, making you optimize for approval and visibility. So please understand that when I'm saying all of this, what I'm saying to you is this isn't entertainment. It's a weaponized game theory. It's a death game theory. Death game theorem. Look around you. A lot of niggas getting bodied. They racking up points. That's the premise that all of this is built on.
So that's why social media has turned into Squid Games.
There you go.
Damn near every rising, there's people who crapped out of the Hunger Games before on your timeline.
Hunger Games, Squid Games, Maze Runner. All movies you can watch to see how Ready Player One, even deeper is Ready Player One. You can, go to Wreck-It Ralph.
Right, Wreck-It Ralph.
We can look at all of these different examples in the media, how they're showing you implementations and executions of game theory on a social level, on a societal level, on a socio-political, economic level, on a race, genetic, eugenic level. They're putting it on every layer of this shit, and they're racking up points. But you don't know what the point system is. All right. Your strategies are constrained, your payoffs are predetermined, and your autonomy is reduced to inputs in a system designed to worship engagement and profit and not your sovereignty. This is a system designed to worship engagement and profit, not your sovereignty. So each optimized post is an invocation. Each hashtag is an offering. Each viral meme, a ritual you are running for someone else's altar. The algorithm is not neutral. It's a temple where you are the priest and the sacrifice all at once. You are the priest and the sacrifice all at once. So you are conducting the self-flagellation. You are the one doing the bloodletting, if you want to even look at it that way. The cost is not just your time, it's your spirit. It's the fracture that shows up in your identity. Research has already confirmed this shit. Long exposure to the feed corrodes mental health, deepens anxiety, and distorts self-image. You think you're doing digital labor, In truth, you're performing identity labor. The work is not just what you make, the work is who you become because of what you're optimizing for. This is why meme martyrs like Charlie Kirk, Captain Kirk, are perfect fuel for this kind of system. Their deaths, their cancellations, their excommunications are not random tragedies. They are converted into hyperstitions, stories that become reality through pure belief. Once the crowd treats the narrative as the truth, it bends timelines until it is. Mandela effect. This is how martyrdom becomes recruitment. This is how culture becomes weaponized against you. We are no longer in a world where the map or the digital realm copies the land or the physical realm. That was never the intention of the internet in the first place. Now, the simulation comes first and reality follows after that.
Back.
The copy no longer points back to the original, it generates a new reality of its own. This is the hyper reality. It's the substrate we live in now. A reality made of models, memes, concepts, symbols, loosely associated to one another through vague reference, through synchronicity, through etymology. It has no anchor in a prime reality though. And this is the desert of the real, where the original has rotted away, but the simulation runs on. This is what Morpheus was referring to in the Matrix when he brought Neo to the desert of the real. He showed him the real world still exists out here. It's just fucked. And now it's almost better to be in the simulation, even though it's not the truth.
That's Ready Player One.
If they want to.
That's Ready Player One showed you that, right?
Easy peasy. Again, all of these movies are the real education. I really want y'all to understand that. Like, school can teach you a lot of things, but what the movies teach you through symbology, through your suspended disbelief, through the neurocinematics is different. It's different because those are the real rules that they're playing by.
Facts. Inception, hitting the subconscious, like I was saying earlier. That's what the movies do.
That's exactly what the movies do. That's exactly what the whole science of neurocinematics, NEUROCINEMATICS, neurocinematics. Yes, boom. But again, the science of how movies affect your brain. 24 frames a second. You see what I'm saying? They literally match the frame rates of your thoughts, and that's why they can clip in certain subconscious subliminal images. And again, matter of fact, Fight Club talked about it. Fight Club gave you the whole play on that.
Showed you it. Yep. Showed you it
in real time. Showed you how we slipped the dick in there.
Yeah.
And now you wonder why the frogs is gay or whatever. So boom. The simulation comes first and the reality follows. The copy no longer points back to the original. It generates a new reality of its own. This is the hyper reality. This is the substrate we live in now, a reality made of models, memes, concepts, symbols. Again, it has no anchor in the prime reality. It's the desert of the real, where the original has rotted away, but the simulation runs on. This mechanism runs on a 5-layer ontology. Ontology is the philosophy of being. So when you type in the philosophy of being, it will bring you right to ontology. If you type in the philosophy of objects, it's going to bring you right to ontology, right? Preferably object-oriented ontology. That's the modern Western version of what our ancestors were kicking about the nature of things as they exist in the world. We thought that everything had its own spirit. Every object, every item, every tree, bird, these things all had their own living essence.
That's deism.
Boom. That's exactly what we're talking about. That animism. You see what I'm saying? The polytheism of it, putting a godlike force behind that hidden essence that you notice in objects. All right. So when we're dealing with ontology, we're dealing with the essence of being, the business of isness. So the first layer is reality. This is the origin, the primary source of all experiences. Next, we move to the simulacra, which are copies of a reality. Then we move to the hyperreality, which is when the copy or the simulacra replaces the origin by disconnecting from the origin. Once we step into a hyperreality, a new mechanic or a new physics takes over in a hyperreality. And this is the nature of the hyperstition, which is the natural ability of a belief to transform fiction into fact within said hyperreality, right? So if you can believe it, you can achieve it if you can meme it. And thus we get to the nature of a hypersigil, which are intentionally designed and crafted stories that use the law of hyperstition on purpose to affect the outcomes within the reality around us. So again, we're talking about existential engineering. They're engineering reality itself through these well-crafted narratives that they're pushing into the collective consciousness, which is really the collective unconsciousness.
So what effect would them with Captain Kirk making transition and then pushing Captain Kirk, hyper into all of the networks, into basically mainstream in America, households and whatnot? What's the effect? And then people start Googling Captain Kirk, and they get exposed to Captain Kirk's work and whatnot. And what's the result of that?
They downloaded the new DLC. This is the new content drop. This is the new mind virus. This is the new meme that is now going to spread across all of them and create a wave of radicalization toward that fascist, white Christian national agenda that they started on. They started on that shit. America was sort of kind of a break from that agenda to some degree. They kind of put it on the back burner, but now they're bringing it back to the forefront again. This is how the transatlantic slave trade started, with fascist white Christian nationals. This was all a competition between these different European powers to say, nah, I'm the big boy of the tiny man. All right, so this is where we kind of get into that. So when we see what they're doing with Charlie Kirk, right, they are using symbols, trauma, repetition, creating a narrative and a story around this character, right, to where now they are pushing it into a particular audience to the point in which they are now ignoring all of the facts of the situation because they're bought into a reality, and now it is their truth, and they're going to act like it is true until they can rewrite the history books to make it the truth officially on paper. This is how we ended. This is how sovereigns ended up in slavery. The rewriting of narratives, the rewriting of stories, based on conquest and colonization, right? But this is how you colonize a culture for real, with memes. The Bible, they handed you that first, right? Okay, that's a book of memes.
Right, super memes.
Super memes, hypersigils, in fact. A book of nothing but hypersigils. Pope Pablo can speak to it a little bit better than I can, but I'm sure we would agree.
Oh, you talking. Please continue. You got it.
So this is how they infiltrate you first. It's the memes, it's the ideas. That's what weakens the body politic. That's what weakens the tribe, the city-state, the nation, the country. It's the ideas that infect like a virus.
Right.
And then they can clip you physically. Again, hyperstition, hyperreality, hypersigil. We laid the story out first of how we gonna wipe you out. And because we are so fanatically engaged in that story, we can make these motherfuckers go spill blood about it. And that's what brings life to it.
So they said that they sent homie's family the eulogy 2 weeks before he gets clipped. Then they put the book on Yahoo, on Amazon the day before he gets clipped. All of that is high level hyper sigil magic. That's how they cook you. South Park,
just like that.
Yeah, South Park puts the episode out, and the Simpsons put the episode out. That's all they people right there doing a hit before the hit happens. That's how they work in the fantasy complex industry. And we think it's, oh, yo, did you see that episode? No, they have something called hyper sigil, hyper reality. You know what I mean? There's a way that they make things come from.
Right. And you speak to is this the process that's known as priming?
Yes, we can also call this whole thing predictive programming as well. We can, but this is the priming. They give you a taste of it, right? They do it a lot with movies where they'll introduce the idea in a very comfortable kind of setting, right? Especially in the movies, because in order to engage with the movies, you suspend your disbelief, which opens up direct access to your unconscious mind. So they're not just presenting an idea, they're implanting the idea at that time, right? So then when you see it happen in real time, they have also, when they implanted the idea in the first place, they also implant certain reaction paths, right? This would be like computer logic, if-then statements. You see what I'm saying? Switch cases where it's like, if this happens, we're gonna do this, or we can do this, and this, or this. But that's how they're breaking it down. It's simple binary logic, the ands and the ors, and this or that, right? And this is how they, again, implant the idea. Then they bring it to you in real life. When they implanted the idea, they already set up paths, predetermined paths for you to react on. So your unconscious mind already has a vague pattern that it wants to follow because it's already been laid out. And through that, they can now guide all of society based on what they know they put into the thing. So that's where I would say the priming comes in. But of course, feel free to add on to that if I'm missing anything in that piece.
No, you definitely got it. Please continue.
Thank you, sir. Boom. This is the field we live in now. Reality is a symbolic reference with no origin. Reality is a symbolic reference with no origin. That is the nature of a hyper-reality, and that is the science that was hard-coded into the internet, into all of these algorithms. The map comes first, the land follows after. And let me not forget to mention that the land itself is partly dead, because the bots, the scripts, and the automated static now make up most of the feed. They make up most of what you see. This is the dead internet, but it's not silent. It is a buzzing hive. I dare say hive mind. Machine content swarms the stage until human voices are suffocated under the unyielding sting of repetition.
Right.
Outrage, spectacle, and martyr loops rise, not because they are true, but because they are efficiently packaged, easy to monetize, easy to militarize. Memes. An easily packaged cultural unit of information. Symbols, images, phrases, ritual. My favorite example of a meme, making fire. That's a meme. Tying your shoe, another meme. These are, again, like I said, cultural units of information, right?
Right.
Richard Dawkins coined this term in a book called The Selfish Gene, 1976. Richard Dawkins, 1976, The Selfish Gene, describing memes as the cultural counterpart to genes, self-replicating patterns that evolve as they move between people. So this is why you see 1,000 million Pepes, because as the meme gets passed around, more people add different context, more context. It gets more derivative. It starts to create simulations on top of simulations on top. So Pepe is like a hyperversal singularity. There's a Pepe for every situation. So that means Pepe is everywhere. This nigga is omnipresent.
Right.
And if he can see all things, he can understand and meme all things to death. This is the quantum leap aspect. Again, we tie back to Keck. We tie back to the Agdawad. We tie back to these 8 primordial forces. 8chan, 4chan, right? What the fuck are we talking about? 8 Agdawads, 4 pairs. 4chan, 8chan. And they built the Pepe meme up. Right?
Right. And they seeded it with blood. Because all of the bodies
about it.
Right. Because people don't know all of the bodies are tied to Keck.
Hey yo, let's take it one level deeper. Every server that these niggas are on, that they use, where they had to go get the raw material from Africa, but that's a blood mine over there. Guess what? Guess who eating off that now? Keck. Pepe. Big Pepe getting all that now. We have to understand the chain, the food chain, the mimetic food chain of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with ecosystems and environments. That's the real nature of animism as the ancestors understood it. This whole shit is alive. It's a giant forest, a cosmic forest, a cosmic ocean, a menagerie of different life forms expressing themselves in various ways. Such as a gene, such as a meme. A meme is not some random internet shit post. It's a living thing. It's a unit of cultural life force. So unlike raw data, memes are sticky because they compress meaning into small, repeatable signals that can travel quickly through culture. They're small, they're repeatable. Micro rituals. Here's the deeper cut that we now have to deal with. Memes are the currency of the attention economy, point blank. Because they're designed to move fast across that slot machine mechanic of likes, shares, and follows. Platforms amplify them because they are, again, efficient carriers of signal. Easy to produce, easy to consume, easy to spread. But this efficiency comes at a deeper cost. Just like slot machines, memes exploit our reward systems in our brain. The dopamine, the serotonin, the endorphins, the oxytocin, all that good shit. When you get a heart, it's not just a heart, nigga. That might as well be a dose of the love your mother didn't give you.
Right. That's like,
and you fighting for it every day.
Remember back in the days they had the Godivas, the chocolate with the cherry in the middle?
Bingo.
Yeah, that would release dopamine.
The bonbons and shit.
Yeah, that would release dopamine. That's a comfort food.
The chocolate releases, endorphins and all that shit. Like, they're simulating these feelings now. Because essentially, they only view you as a series of electrical connections in an organic computer that they feel they can replicate with synthetic computational systems that they're creating right now. They think you're basically just a machine. They don't understand the life essence, or maybe they do and they don't care because they can't engage with it, so why give a fuck about it? but they need it to survive. They need to be able to siphon off of it. And that's what all of this has been. But now they're automating the process of siphoning culture off you, so that way they don't have to live with you anymore. They can go to Mars and keep this shit going. We talked about how one of the main founders